Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Real Wisdom Artificial Intelligence. So, today is March 7th. It is a Saturday. Let's go ahead get started for today. Today's dose of Rashmi is unconscious intellect is a sharp tool to measure, compare, and divide. Wisdom, on the other hand, is pairing your sharp intellect with the natural inclusiveness that will come from the loving intelligence of the heart. It is interesting that as I arrived at this dose of Rashmi and then later on turned to my news feed, I came across a quote by Aristotle. Aristotle's quote was, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. And call it serendipity, call it universal consciousness. This was right after I had just finished my morning practice, arriving at this dose of Rashmi. So now switching to real wisdom artificial intelligence and diving into the three-layer Rashmi attention architecture that I talked about yesterday and applying this dose of Rashmi to that. So layer one, where your attention is completely distracted, is typically what happens if you look at your feed. Most of the news is all about sensationalizing something. It's all narratives full of us versus them. That is what layer one behavior is, that we get consumed by all of these narratives which are all about us versus them, and our attention is directed towards these narratives and they strengthen, they become our core beliefs. We That's how we end up having a very, very rigid fixed identity as well, and anybody who does not conform to that identity is a them, is an enemy, and that's how the divisions happen. Layer 2, at layer 2, your attention is a little more selective. You have certain goals, and this is the growth mindset. So you are very much focused on what your objectives are, your goals are, and you have a very, very keen sense of filtering out the noise from the signal. So your attention naturally flows towards those items which help strengthen the narrative, which is about your narrative. It is a great way to continue making progress towards the goal. And that's why growth mindset has been the secret behind anybody's success. You're able to filter out all of these narratives and pick on the narratives which align with your core narrative and continue focusing on that. However, an unintended side effect of that is whatever is the us narrative that you focused on, and while it is a positive reinforcement of that us narrative, it advances this us forward, which of course sets back some other them, some other group of people. And it now is totally up to this other group of individuals who have been left behind by your success on how they approach, where do they direct attention. And if they operate at layer one, then chances are something will happen. There'll be further divisions which eventually will cause you to retaliate and conflicts will grow. Layer 3, on the other hand, is directing your attention, as I've said, based on present moment awareness and nothing about preconceived narratives. With layer 2, your attention is always directed towards that particular objective. In layer 3, your attention is being directed out of present moment awareness, and it is better getting aligned with everything else that is happening around you. And chances are you not only will achieve whatever objective you had set out to achieve, you are probably going to achieve something far better. So that is today's dose of Rashmi, about combining the intelligence of the heart with the logical, sharp intellect of the mind that we're so used to. And honestly, this is where AI represents a wonderful opportunity, because AI will do an amazing job at whatever is the logical minded intellect. So it gives us that opportunity to augment our logical minded intellect with AI and then access the loving intelligence of our heart. So we are not approaching everything from a place of measuring, comparing, and dividing us versus them. what will emerge is naturally the care and care for the entire human and planet centric outcomes. And this is where I have talked about the race to conscious grid evolution that becomes natural at that point. And that this is what I'm working on right now, on evolving that race to conscious grid from a friction economy to an outcome regenerative economy. And my AI collaborators do keep challenging me that in order for this to become more than a philosophy, I have to model the capital market and how all of the capital inflow, outflow, how that will play out. Otherwise, it is just a philosophy. And I agree with that point. However, as I'm approaching it, I'm looking at it as systems. It is technology systems, it is institutional systems, it is environmental systems, and most importantly, it is the human systems that need to evolve. And if all of these systems evolve and everything evolves from the layer three attention architecture of the Rashmi hierarchy, and that is how we direct our attention individually and collectively, then absolutely the future can be the regenerative outcome economy, not the friction economy. The friction economy arises when we predominantly operate at layer one and our attention is directed at us versus them. And even if we are operating at layer two and out of a growth mindset, chances are you don't control where somebody else is paying attention. As you advance your objectives, somebody else who has been marginalized is going to feel that they've been marginalized, and they will then operate at layer one, and that will create a conflict. Thank you.